Sahana Vavato Sahano Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratah chartheshvabhijñasvarat tene brahma hridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsurayah tejo varimrudam yatha vinimayah yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi Satchidanandarupaya Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Dvaipayano viraha katara ajuhava Tam sarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Yes. So after having given a detailed account on creation, so what is the purpose of creation? Purpose of creation is to help Jiva realize its true nature, which is Ishvara. Jiva Brahma Aikya is the purpose of creation. So the Jiva has to go through various experiences. In order to go through various experiences, the creation is made. So then what does Brahmājī say to Naradji? The whole world exists in Bhagwan alone. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, they are just obeying the orders of the Supreme Lord in Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. And then what does he say? In order to know this truth, this Bhagwan, what is the condition necessary? Rishe vidanti munayah prashantatmendriyashayaha. When the mind is hushed to silence, a mind filled with devotion for the Lord, surrender unto the Lord, humility unto the Lord, with such a heart saturated with noble virtues, with such a heart, when the yogi meditates upon the Lord, mind becomes absolutely silent. And in that silent mind, the truth is revealed as one's own self. This is the only way. So you cannot carry your ego into the realm of truth. You have to drop the ego. Ego has no entry there. So who will not reach this truth? It is said, Yada tadaiva sattarkehi tirodhiyeta viplutam. Those people who try to understand this truth through arguments, through reasoning, through one's own intellectual abilities, then what happens? This truth becomes veiled to them, covered to them. And it's a very, very important point, because very many times we see such seekers in life. They appear to be very sincere, but somehow they are stuck. Why they are stuck? They are stuck here. Too much of arguments, too much of intellectual logics. Nothing wrong in all that, but the problem is they forget to develop their heart. All the time developing their intellect, too much of logic. Then what happens? They become logicians. Bas. They don't become realized. The saintly qualities are not in them. There are very many people who have mastered Shankara Bhashya. They have got PhD degrees in Vedanta. They have studied in and out of the commentaries written by Bhagwan Shankaracharya. They have it by heart. They can quote from any place. But they themselves come and confess, though we quote all this, whatever experience is mentioned, to be frank, we don't have that experience. Now then, what is the use of such a scholarly study then? If our intellects have got doubts, no doubt there is nothing wrong in clearing those doubts. Shravana is essential, Manana is essential, but let us not stop at the Manana level. Many times what happens is, too much of logic. This is called asat tarke. So what happens is, this person is more interested in showing off his knowledge, showing off his study, showing off his scholarship, and in the process the main thing is forgotten. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says, when you get into a mango orchard, why are you bothered about counting the number of trees, number of leaves, number of twigs? The most important thing is eat the mango and enjoy it. Many times people are more interested in leaves and twigs. How many Upanishads are there? Nothing wrong. It's a piece of information, that's all. So, the knowledge of Vedanta remains as a piece of information for them. What are the Upanishads? Bhagwan has written Bhashya. And how he has commented upon this term, that word, this verse. Fine, all of them are good. But what about your personal experience? 00. That will not help. So here it's very clearly said, unless you surrender unto God in all humility and devotion, forget about spiritual experience. You may at the most become a scholar, but you can never become a saint. There is a big difference. A scholar is able to quote the scriptures, but he has no experience mentioned in the scriptures. Whereas a saint, he may not be able to quote the scriptures, but he is rich with experience. That is why in scriptures we have two terms. One is shrotriyam, other is Brahmanishtam. Shrotriya is the person who has studied the scriptures well. Brahmanistha is the person who has the direct experience of whatever is said. So most important is the experience of truth. But when you have to teach it, you have to be a shrotriya also. The technique of teaching also has to be mastered. This is only for the teacher. But the fundamental thing is you must have the knowledge. So here, Brahmājī makes it very clear, it's a warning for all the seekers. Because we find there are people who say, I have attended study group for 20, 30 years. I have conducted study group, not attended. I have conducted study groups, but Swamiji, nothing has happened. Nothing has happened because of this. Asattarkehi, tirodhiyeta, viplutam. The agitated mind wields himself by himself. Who is preventing you from knowing yourself? There is nobody else other than your own mind. Your own disturbed mind, your own egoistic mind, impure mind prevents you from knowing yourself. Right? So therefore, all these practices of meditation, devotion, surrender, these have to be practiced. That's why again and again these things are mentioned. Puja Gurudev also used to say, developing the head is very easy, developing the heart is difficult. Developing head is very easy. Study some books, do some manana, head is developed. But developing the heart, that takes time. Shravana is easy, manana is little more difficult, nididhyasana is the most difficult. Many times people think that after Shravana he has gained the knowledge. It is like taking the chaff and saying that I have got the grain. Grain is inside, that is the most important thing. So one of the Upanishad, Amritabindu Upanishad, it even says that once you have gained the knowledge of the scriptures, throw away the scriptures. To that extent it has said. Because after that the purpose of scripture is served. Don't think that just because you know some verses from the scriptures, just because you have intellectually understood, that is final. No. That is just 1% of the entire journey. It is something like studying the map. Now you have studied the map. Does it mean that you have visited the place? Study the map. No doubt it is helpful. But that alone is not the end of the journey. Keep the map aside. Go to the place and visit. That hands-on experience, direct experience is essential. Scriptures are mere maps. Don't merely be satisfied with scriptural study. So therefore, now Bhagwan, Brahmājī is instructing Naradji. So Brahmājī says, this knowledge of Bhagavatam, I got it from Bhagavān himself. Now why is it called Bhagavatam? Anything that which belongs to Bhagavan is called Bhagavata. That which belongs to Bhagavan. Shreemad Bhagavatam. What is this Bhagavatam? That which belongs to Bhagavan is called Bhagavatam. That which is related to Bhagavan is called Bhagavatam. So what are the things which are related to Bhagavan? Number one, what is his nature? That is related to Bhagavan. So it is Bhagavatam. Number two, what are the leelas he has played? It is related to Bhagavan, so it is Bhagavatam. Number three, the life stories of devotees who have taken total refuge in Bhagavan. Since devotees belong to Bhagavan, devotees belong to whom? They belong to Bhagavan. So therefore, all the stories are also present of the devotees in Bhagavatam, because devotees belong to Bhagavan. Right? So the name Shreemad Bhagavatam. Everything that belongs to Bhagavan, everything that is related to Bhagavan is discussed here. So now, Brahmājī in a brief way runs through the leelas of the Lord which Bhagavan has played in various incarnations. So what all are the avatars he has taken? Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, Parashurama, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Kalki. So all these things, briefly there is a mention. For what purpose Bhagavan took the avatar and what all he did. One chapter is dedicated to it. Not only the avatars, but famous devotees also. Those stories. Now there are many other avatars also other than these 10. What are they? Kapila avatar is there. Dhanvantari avatar is there. Hayagriva avatar is there. Rishabha avatar is there. So many other avatars are also there. Other than these main 10. Plus the stories of the devotees like Dhruva, Prahlada, Ambarisha, then Gajendra. So all those stories are briefly mentioned, and after mentioning it, Brahmājī says, why did I mention? I mentioned this because all these stories have a common content. What is the purpose of all these stories? The purpose is Now the common story is this. A devotee is in trouble, is in deep trouble. He tries various ways to get rid of this problem. He is not able. Ultimately, he surrenders unto God, and the moment he surrenders unto God, he finds a solution. This is the common story. So in this story, what is the message? The message is, whatever be the problem you are suffering from in life, there is only one ultimate solution, Shashvata Parihara. There is only one. The best solution, the ultimate solution, the permanent solution is surrender unto God. There may be many other solutions, but among all solutions, which is the best solution? Bhagwan is the solution. So this is the central theme of all the stories. So therefore Brahmājī says, I am not going to elaborate all the leelas of the Lord because even if Bhagwan Adishesha with his 1,000 mouths, he start describing all the leelas, it will never end. Somewhere I think there is a mention that even if Mahameru is made the pen, and even if the ocean is made the ink to write the glories of the Lord, it is not possible. And if Sakshat Saraswati is glorifying the Bhagwan, it is not possible. So what it means is, his glories are infinite. If suppose I ask you, in your own life, please narrate some of the events where you were in trouble and you sought the help of Bhagwan and then you came out of the trouble. Suppose I ask you, won't you have some stories to tell? Each and every one of you will have some story. Remember, they are all leelas of Bhagwan only. Isn't it? Each and every being will have some or the other stories. Something which has touched their heart in their lifetime, which they can never forget. Isn't it? So that is why it is said, Bhagwan's leelas are ananta. Some few samples are given here so that the nature of Bhagwan could be understood. So that we are inspired, we are motivated to surrender unto the Lord. When you constantly read the stories of these devotees, and when you find that these devotees have found solution, they have found solution, they have found solace in Bhagwan, automatically we also are tempted to take our problem to Bhagwan. And this is the purpose of these sample stories. So the purpose of sample stories is so that we also follow the footsteps of the devotees of the Lord. So here it is said, Nantam vidamyahamami munayograjaste maya balasya purushasya kuto pareye gayan gunan dashashatanana adidevah shesho dhunapi samavasyati nasya param. Even if Shesha Bhagavan with his thousands of mouths, even if he try to explain Bhagavan's glory, it is not possible. So therefore, येषां स एव भगवान् दययेदनन्तः सर्वात्मनाश्रितपदो यदि निर्व्यलीकं ते दुस्तरामतितरन्ति च देवमायां नैषां ममाहमिति धीष्वशृगालभक्ष्ये. So therefore, what has to be done? Sarvatmana, from your heart and soul, from the depth of your being, Nirvelikam, without any kind of deceit, with an innocent heart, with a pure heart. What has to be done? Ashtrita padaha, completely surrender unto Bhagavan. This is the way to invoke the grace of the Lord. Surrender unto Bhagavan and thus be a recipient of the grace of the Lord. Now the question is, what will happen when I receive the grace of God? Or what is the highest thing, the best thing that can happen to me when I receive the grace of God? Very many people think blessing of God means, these are all immature people. They say blessing of God means good health, good wife, good husband, good children, no sorrows. This is by God's grace. I got a job, Swamiji. By God's grace. I got married, Swamiji. By God's grace, I got a child, Swami. They're all by God's grace only, no doubt. But what is the real grace? That is mentioned here. It is said, Naisha mama aham iti dhihi swa shrigala bhakshye. What is true grace of Bhagwan? The true grace of Bhagwan is when you are able to disidentify from your body. This is the message of Bhagavatam. What is the true grace? Really you can feel that Bhagwan's blessing is upon you when your identification with the body, which is the cause of I and mine, aham mama, when this identification with the body becomes loosened, understand Bhagwan's real grace is being showered upon you. Now how is the body described? Swa shrigala bhakshye. The food for dogs and jackals. This body, which is the food for dogs and jackals, meaning the most, filthy, dirty, perishable, good for nothing, this body, now I am holding on to this, pack of filth and saying that this is me. This is the greatest expression of ignorance. So what is the grace of Lord? Grace of God is when the person moves towards self-knowledge. True grace is when you get an opportunity to listen to these kinds of scriptures, to listen to this kind of knowledge, which will ultimately loosen your attachment with your body. This is true grace. Why do you call this as true grace? It is because te dustaram atitaranti Devamāyām. Because only when this attachment to this body is loosened, only then you can cross over this Devamāyā, this Maya. Only then you become free from this birth and death cycle. Now this Maya is dustaram, very difficult. So which words are you reminded of? Devi hesha gunamai, mama maya duratyaya, mameva ye prapadyante, maya metam tarantite. Same thing. This Maya is Devi Maya, no doubt. It is Bhagwan's Maya only. But it is Duratyaya, impossible to cross over. Unless a person surrenders unto Bhagwan, there is no question of crossing over. But the moment you turn to Him, surrender unto Him, they cross over. How easily do they cross over? Bhagavatam says, they easily cross over as though it's a puddle of water created by the hoof of the cow. How small it is. How easily you cross over. So easily a devotee crosses over this otherwise uncrossable Maya. Right. So therefore, we should feel ourselves to be really blessed by Bhagwan, that we are getting an opportunity to listen to this kind of knowledge. We are exposed to this kind of knowledge. Shravanoyopi bahubhir yona labhyah shanvantopi bahavo yamna vidyuh ascharyo vakta kushalosya labdha. Isn't it? Ascharyo jnata kushalanushishtaha. It's a wonder to see a student of this knowledge. It's a wonder to see a teacher of this knowledge. They are not exaggerations, they are very, very true. Even when this knowledge is given, how many of us value it? Isn't it? Lakhs and crores of people are there, but how many of us really listen to it and get benefited by it? Practice. Very, very few. So, rarest of the rare. So, here what does Bhagwan say? This is Bhagwan's greatest blessing, that He exposes that jiva to self-knowledge. Because it is this self-knowledge with which he crosses over Maya. He puts an end to this miserable birth-death cycle. Now Brahmājī says, it's not one or two, very many people have crossed over this ocean. Bahavo jnana tapasa puta mad bhavamagataha, 4th chapter. Very many. Brahmājī, can you give some example? Oh, why not? First example is me myself. Brahmājī says. So here's a big list given. Naradji, who are the people who have crossed over this Maya? Tum log, you people. You people means Sanakadi Rishis, Naradji, etc. Shankara, Bhagavān Shankar, Prahlada, Shatarupa, Manu, Priyavrata, Prachina Barhi, Rubhu, Dhruva, Ikshwaku, Pururava, Muchukund, Janaka, Gadhi, Raghu, Ambarisha, Sagara, Gaya, Yayati, Mandhata, Alarka, Satadhanva, Anu, Rantidev, Bhishma, Bali, Dilip, Saubhari, Uttanga, Shibi, Devala, Pippalada, Saraswata, Uddhava, Parashara, Bhurishena, Vibhishana, Hanuman, Shukadeva, Arjuna, Arshishena, Vidura, Shrutadeva, etc. So it's a big list. So what is being said is, this is well-trodden path. Right? There are very many people who have perfected walking this path. So therefore, not only these people, now another list is given. Te vai vidantyati taranti cha devamāyām stri shudra hūna shabara api pāpa-jīvāh yatyadbhuta krama parayana shīla shikshaah tiryakjana api kimu shruta dharanaye. So many nicha jatis, low caste people, they have also. How did they cross over? By following the footsteps of the devotees, even they have crossed over. People born with disadvantages like Shudra, etc., they have crossed over. Even what to talk of other things, even Pashu Pakshis have crossed over. Tiryak Jana. Even animals born in the animal body, even they have crossed over. What to talk of Kimu Shruta Dharana? Yeah. What to talk of those people who are blessed to listen to the scriptures from the authorities, falling in a Guru Parampara, who are exposed to the knowledge of the, what you call, scriptures. How blessed they are. How easy it is for them. Even these people have gained. Then why not the people who are exposed to the scriptural teachings from the authorities? So therefore, it is very easy. So why am I saying all this? Narada, I have a task for you. I am telling all this because I have a task. What is the task? Now this Bhagavatam you have to expand. This is the task. I have in brief told you what is Bhagavatam, avatars, etc. I have told you. Now you have a big job. What is the job? Idam Bhagavatam nama yanme bhagavatoditam sangrahoyam vibhutinam tvam etad vipulikuru. Tvam etad vipulikuru. You expand it. But how should you expand? Keep this point in mind. You must expand keeping this point in mind. What is the point? Yatha haro bhagavati nrnam bhaktir bhavishyati sarvatmanyakhiladhare iti sankalpya varnaya. The point to be kept in mind is, when you are expanding this Bhagavata, make sure that when a person listens to this Bhagavata, reads to this Bhagavata, his heart will be filled with devotion for God. This is the one point. So who is that God? That God is Sarva Atmani. He is the self of all beings. Akhila Adhare. He is the support for all beings. Haro. He is the remover of all sorrows. Bhagavati. He is Bhagavan, the possessor of sixfold wealth. What is the sixfold wealth? Aishwaryasya samagrasya dharmasya yashasasriyah vairagyasyath mokshasya shannam bhaga itiritah. These are the sixfold wealth. What are they? Aishwaryasya samagrasya, Aishwarya number 1. Dharmasya yashasasriyah, Dharma number 2. Yashas 3. Shri number 4. Then vairagyasyath mokshasya, vairagya moksha. Aishwarya, Dharma, Yashas, Shri, Vairagya, Moksha. These are the sixfold wealth. And who is Bhagwan? Bhagavān means the possessor of the sixfold wealth in full measure. All of us have little of this or that. He is the abode of all this wealth. So that is why he is called Bhagavān. Put in another words, omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. Sarvashaktiman, Sarvavyapi, Sarvajna. So this Bhagavān, who is the remover of all sorrow, who is the, support of all beings, who is the self of all beings, who is the very embodiment of strength, knowledge, wisdom, everything. Unto this Bhagavān, devotion should arise. In this way, Bhagavatam should be composed. This is the instruction given to Naradji by Brahmājī. Where did Brahmājī get Bhagavatam from? Bhagavān himself. So this is the Guru Parampara. From Bhagavān, Brahmājī got it. How Brahmājī got it, we will come. Later on, that portion will come now. So Bhagavān gave it to Brahmājī in a very concise way. So as it keeps flowing, it becomes wider and wider. Just like Ganga. So from Gomukh, when it comes, it is only trickles. But as it keeps coming down, it becomes wider. So now today we have, now this is one book, there is another book also. So this is part 1 of Bhagavatam. So at this stage we have come. In the beginning, Bhagavān gave it to Brahmājī in 4 verses. That 4 verses we will see. That is called Chatushloki Bhagavatam. We will see it later, maybe tomorrow, day after. So from there, Brahmājī expanded it a little, gave it to Naradji. Naradji gave it to Vyasarishi. Vyasarishi further expanded it to Shuka Brahmarishi. Shuka Brahmarishi further expanded and gave it to Parikshit. This is the Guru Parampara now. So therefore, instruction of Brahmājī is see to it that when the scripture is given, ensure that as a person listens to it, devotion for God increases. This is the purpose. If you remember the first canto, Vedavyas Rishi composed Mahabharata, but he was not happy. So then Naradji says, the problem with you is, when you composed Mahabharata, bhakti was not at all taken into account. Dharma, everything is there. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, everything is described wonderfully well. But the most important thing, bhakti for Lord is missing. That is why you are not happy, even though you have composed this. So after that, Vedavyas Rishi composes Bhagavatam. It is meant for developing devotion for God. Right. So therefore, this is how you must expand it. Now, Raja Parikshit asked various questions. A set of questions are asked. Now, based on these questions, the entire Bhagavatam follows. There are so many questions. Question regarding what are the different kinds of yuga, what are the yuga dharmas. Again, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya of Bhagwan. Some questions are based on that. What is the nature of God? What are the different varna ashramas? And what is the duty of a person in a particular varna, in a particular ashrama? Then what is the span, time span of the entire Brahmanda? So in the next canto, there is an explanation. From the smallest unit of time to the biggest unit of time. All those descriptions come. So all these questions are there. What is the yuga dharma? What is the dharma of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, etc.? What are the different kinds of worlds? What are all the kind of beings in these different worlds? What is their lifespan? Why did they go to such worlds? All those questions are there. So these questions are step by step answered in the following cantos. So we will take one or two questions here which are relevant to this canto. Right? So after having asked all these questions, Parikshit says, Atra pramanam hi bhavan parameshthe yathatma bhuh parechehanutishtanti purvesham purvajai kritam. O Shuka Brahmarshe, Atra pramanam bhavan, you are the pramanam. Pramanam means authority. I have all these questions, I have asked these questions, but you are the right person to answer all this because you fall in Guru Parampara. You are none other than Brahmājī himself for me, he says. Whatever knowledge you get from the Guru Parampara, it is authority. So here here Parikshit Maharaj says, others whatever they do, they hear from somewhere and they do. There is no pramana there. But as far as you are concerned, your knowledge is from a source of authority. So therefore I can blindly believe in whatever you say. When such a person is in front of me, I should make use of your presence. So this is the way he says. But what about your hunger, thirst, etc.? You are fasting. Are name savah parayanti brahman nanasyanadami pibatochuta piyusham anyatra kupitadvijat. Now this person, remember, he is fasting. No food, no drink. Now he is telling, when I am getting this nectarian drink of Bhagwan's glory, why should I need this food and drink? I am not at all exhausted. Listening to this, I am not at all exhausted. The only one problem I have is after 7 days that Takshaka will come and bite. That is the only worry. Otherwise, mind is absolutely unaffected by the hunger and thirst of the body. So, Rishi, please explain to me all this. So, looking at this student, looking at the interest and the eagerness to learn, any teacher will be inspired to expand Bhagavatam, isn't it? So now, the one question which he had asked was, for which the answer is present in this canto, the one question is, Rishi, tell me, consciousness and matter, how is it possible that they two combine? Because both have different properties. Consciousness is absolutely real, matter is absolutely unreal. That's what you say. Consciousness is sentient, matter is insentient. How can two things with two different properties combine? Now you say that Jiva is a combination of consciousness and matter. Body, mind, intellect is matter. And this matter has combined with consciousness. Is it ever possible? It appears impossible. This is the question. You say a Jiva is born by the combination of sentient consciousness and insentient matter. Is it possible to have a combination of Jada and Chetana? You say consciousness is absolutely real, matter is absolutely unreal. Is it possible to have a combination of an absolutely real thing and an absolutely unreal thing? Is it possible? So for which, what is the answer given? Atma mayamrite rajan parasyanubhavatmanah na ghatetartha sambandha swapna drashturivanjasa. O King, the question which we have put forth is perfectly fine. The question which you have asked is absolutely right. It is impossible that two things with two different properties can combine. This can be answered only by one thing. And what is it? Atmaya, Atma Mayaya. It is only because of Maya of the Lord. An impossible thing is happening. This impossible thing can be explained only with the help of Maya. So for which here Shuka Brahmarshi gives an example. What is the example? Swapna drashturiva anjasa. Like a swapna drashta. So what happens in the dream? In the dream, so as you enter into the dream, remember, you detach yourself from your real body and you attach yourself to a dream body. And using the dream body, you are going through the experiences of the dream world. Correct? So how are you wandering in the dream world? Not with your waking body, but with your dream body. Now, you, the real person, being attached to the dream body which doesn't exist. Got it? You are the one who is really existing. But now you are identified, you have become one with a body which doesn't exist. And now you are going through the experiences of all that which doesn't exist. In short, put in a simple way, the real identifying with the unreal, going through the problems of the unreal. This is dream. The real person identifying with the unreal person. Now, who is the unreal person? The dream person. Remember, dream body is different from waking body. You cannot take your waking body into the dream world. Waking body is left in the waking world itself. You enter into the dream world not with your waking body, but with your dream body. So, in the dream world, you are possessing a dream body which is unreal, and you are going through experiences which are unreal. So, what is happening here? Real, identifying with the unreal, going through the problems of the unreal. This is called Maya. It is impossible. How can the real be one with unreal? It is impossible. But that is what is happening. Our famous example. What is the example? Movie theater example. Same thing. So the person is real. The film character is unreal. But what is happening now? The real person identifying with the unreal filmy person, filmy character, going through the problems of the filmy character. So why are you crying in the film theater? Not because of your problem. You have your own family problems at home. In the theater you are crying not for your problems, you are crying because of the problems of the hero, who is a non-real entity, non-existent entity. You even know that this person is only acting, he is an actor, that also you know. Even then you cry. Isn't it? So what is happening? The real identifying with the unreal, becoming one with the unreal, going through the problems of the unreal. So who is actually crying? The real person need not cry. The unreal person cannot cry. Then who is crying? The real person need not cry because these problems belong to him, the film person. The real person need not cry. The unreal person cannot cry. Then who is crying? Swamiji, I am only crying. Who are you? I identified with the unreal character. So, there is a combination of real and unreal which is bringing the tears in your eyes. So, who is crying? The real identified with the unreal is the one who is crying. Absolutely real person need not cry. Absolutely unreal person cannot cry. Then who is crying? Real identified with the unreal, meaning real combined with the unreal. Now, this combination of real and unreal is called Maya. It can never be explained. This is called a psychological bondage. The bondage is not physical, it is psychological. Identification happens with the mind. It is a property of the mind. Right? So this is how this question is answered. Yes, O King, what you are saying is 100% right. Consciousness and matter cannot combine. But this is what has happened. How it has happened, don't ask. It is Bhagwan's Maya. Full stop. There is no explanation for it. It cannot be explained. Then what to do? You need not explain it. Just come out of Maya. That's enough. Just like you don't have to find out where did the dream world come from, what is its srishti, sthiti, laya of the dream world, how many people are there in the dream world. You need not know. The only thing you need to know is come out of the dream, full stop. Wake up. Don't ask unnecessary questions about dream world. It is not going to solve your problem. All question related to the dream world is not going to solve the problem. The only thing which is going to solve the problem is wake up. In the same way here also. Yar hivavaham mahimni swe parasmin kalamayayoh rameta gata sammoha tyakto daste tado bhayam. So the moment a person comes to know this truth, what is the truth? That I am not the BMI, I am the consciousness. And when he starts reveling in himself, Sve Mahimni Rameta, when he comes to know the truth that this BMI has nothing to do with me, it's a part of the dream only. The true me is this consciousness, this awareness. Such a person wakes up from this, what you call dream world, attains his own true self, and he becomes udaste, he becomes indifferent to this world. And thus he becomes free from ubhayam, both. What are the both? I and mine. He becomes free. O king, the very same knowledge was given by Bhagavān to Brahmājī. Now that story is told. I will tell you that story. The knowledge is the same. What you are asking now, the very same knowledge was given by whom? Sakshat Bhagavān to Brahmājī. That incidents I will narrate it to you. So now that story comes. So what is the story? Sa adidevo jagatam paro guruhu swadhishnyamastaya srasrakshayekshata tam nadhyagachadrishamatra sammatam prapancha nirmana vidhiryaya bhavet. So all the stories you know. So what is the story? So one day, Brahmājī came out of the navel of Bhagwan. So it is said, that story comes little detail in 3rd canto. So Brahmājī found himself sitting on a lotus. And everywhere there is only water, causal waters. He found that he is the only one. Now just imagine how much he might have got scared. When we are in one room all alone, that itself scares us. Now here, Brahmājī is all alone in the whole world. Right? So he then looked around. He found nobody except water. And also this lotus. So he thought, let me find the origin of this lotus. So there was this stalk, the hollow tube. So then he entered into the tube and then went on and on. And he found that there is no end. Again he came back, exhausted, tired, frightened maybe, discouraged. Whom to ask, what to ask? Where have I come from? What is this? Who am I? Total confusion. At that time what happened? At that time something happened. Sachintayan dvyaksharamekadambhasi upashruno dvirgaditam vacho vibhuhu sparsheshu yatshodashameka vimsham nishkinchananam nrupayadhanam viduhu. Totally exhausted and totally disheartened. A total helpless state where nobody is there to guide. In that total helpless state when he was seated there, maybe in total surrender also. Because the very fact that he has become Brahmājī shows that in his previous birth he has done lot of sadhana, tapas, etc. So devotion for God must definitely be there. Maybe he has surrendered and invoked Bhagwan's grace. All those things are not mentioned. We have to supply. So when he was totally exhausted and tired and disheartened, no way out, whom to ask? At that time he heard these 2 letters twice. Dvirgatitam. He heard these 2 letters. What are the letters? One is the 16th letter, the other is the 21st letter of the list of consonants. So what is the list of consonants? Ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, cha, cha, ja, jha, nya. You remember? In LKG, UKG you might have studied. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. The way to remember is ka cha ta ta pa. Ka cha ta ta. Ta tha da dha na pa pa bha bha ma. Now find out what is 16th and 21. This is the homework. Come on. Ka kha ga ga nga 5. Cha cha ja ja nya 10. Then ta tha da da na 15. Then ta. So first is ta. Ta tha da da na 20. 21 is pa. So tapa. So he heard tapa. How many times he heard? Twice he heard. Tapa, tapa. So when he heard this, he looked around. Nobody was there. But then, what was the greatness of Brahmājī? So this tapa, it is said, Nishkinchananam yad dhanam. It is the very treasure of Nishkinchana. Nishkinchana means people who don't have any wealth. For those people who don't have any wealth, these two words, this is the ultimate wealth, tapas. So he looked around, he found nobody there. Nishamya tadvaktri drikshaya disho vilokya tatranyadapasyamanah swadhishnyamastaya vimrashya tadhitam tapasyupadishta ivadadhemanah. So he looked around, he found nobody. But then he felt that whatever is being said, it is said for my own welfare. Let me have faith in what I have heard. Though I am not seeing the source, though I am not seeing anyone, but whatever I have heard, I have a faith. So that intuitive feeling from within tells him that what you have heard, just follow what you have heard. So Vimrashya, he thought about it. Then he felt tadhitam, that is something which is, that I heard, it is, somebody is guiding me and it is good for me. And then what did he do? Tapasyupadishta. And then he performed the tapas. How long did he perform tapas? Divyam sahasrabdam amogha darshanah jitanilatma vijito bhayendriyah atapyata smakhila lokatapanam tapastapiyans tapatam samahitah. Intense tapas began. Jita anilatma, he controlled his vital breaths. Vijita ubhayendriyaha, he controlled all his nanendriyas and karmendriyas. And with total concentration, he did this tapas. How long did he tapas? Divyam sahasrabdam amogha darshanaha. How many? Sahasrabdam. 1,000 years. Not merely 1,000 years. Divyam sahasrabdam. 1,000 divine years. 1,000 divine years means 1,000 into 360 human years. So it is 360,000 years. He did it. He went on and on and on. Just upon holding on to the faith. Now that is the greatness of Brahmājī. Shraddhavan labhate jnana. He started with Shraddha. Now there are a lot of spiritual message here in this small story. This total analysis of the story we will see tomorrow. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.